Hello, my name is Dakota, and today I'm going to teach you how to safety wire an Lo206 exhaust. So, a background on myself: I've been karting for a couple years now, and I have over 14 years of experience as being a jet engine mechanic in the Air Force. So, safety wiring is something I'm extremely familiar with. I've helped out a lot of friends at the track that are either not good at safety wiring or just starting out, and I always want to help everybody out. Somebody mentioned to me the other day, I wish there was a really good video on this topic, so I figured why not make my own. So why do we need to safety wire the exhaust bolts? It is a tech item and a rule, and the Briggs rule set for 34E is the paragraph. It says that the exhaust bolts must be safety wired. So these are your standard bolts that come in a Briggs. They're a 5mm cap head screw with safety wire holes in them. So you'll either be using this, or you can use a stud. These can get installed by builders or yourself. And there is a 10mm hex head nut with safety wire holes on it. So this would be threaded into the top of the head, and you would just screw the nut on and safety wire it. Highly recommend these, very durable. Also, when you do install your exhaust, make sure you do not over torque the bolts or even the nut on the stud. Over time, this will just happen naturally, but these are actually threads from a head in a Briggs. This will happen. So this is the actual aluminum material that was machined into the block or the head that got pulled away by one of these bolts. Over time, vibrations or this being over torqued, putting stress on those threads will make this, instead of it being tight, it'll loosen it up, and this will come out with those threads. So for the materials you would need, you will obviously need the safety wire itself. This is a brand I bought off of Amazon. The diameter, there's a lot of different diameters, so pay attention to that. I highly recommend just using 32 thousandths for everything in karting. This is what common size we use in aviation as well. So that 32 thousandths is talking about the outer diameter of this wire. It is the perfect size for these nuts or also these bolts. If there's a little bit of slack, that's perfectly okay. What you don't want is it to be too big, or you don't want it to be a really small diameter and not be very strong either. You also need safety wire pliers. So some people can get by with just using pliers. I highly recommend picking a pair of these up. They're pretty cheap on Amazon. You have the actual plier tip itself, and then there's the area to cut the wire. And then when you squeeze this down and I pull this collar back, it'll actually lock this into place. That way, on the end here, there's a bunch of threads, or like a screw thing, the spring's closed. So whenever I grab the wire and pull on this, it'll actually twist the pliers for me to make nice uniform twists. So now, before we do this on a engine, I'm going to show it to you on this board. I just put a couple Briggs exhaust bolts in this board. You want to take some wire. If you use a little extra, that's perfectly fine. If you use too little, you're going to have to redo it, right? So I always use at least double of the length that I have, plus a little more for your pigtail. So the first thing you want to do is just feed the wire in. Bring it right on through. Get it to the center here to where you have about the same distance on both sides. And then I want to loop one side around. The way you want to decide to go depends on which way is righty-tighty or lefty-loosey, right? So these are right-hand thread bolts. So I want to bring this around this way, because when I bring my wire all the way around, I want this to be pulling right. So if this comes loose, it's going to keep it even more secure. So your first strand, this one right here, just bring it down. The second one, loop it around, and I prefer to loop it underneath this original one. Because whenever I bring this together right here, I can then grab my pliers, and it's going to give a really nice pull and twist on this, because whenever I pull this plier set, it's going to, that thing on the end, it's going to turn it to the right. To judge how much slack you need, right here is that hole right by my finger. I'm going to want to go a little bit further than it, because when I do my twist, it's going to shorten that wire. So I just grab right here with the pliers, make sure I get both ends, squeeze it, and get that lock. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see that lock. I'll turn the camera some. So I want to squeeze out until I get that lock, and now I just want to pull the pliers. So it's giving me nice and neat twists. For a 32 thousandths safety wire, you want about 8 to 10 twists per inch for aviation standard. So to make that simple, you don't want to twist this like crazy. Just make it look nice and even. About that many twists is perfect right there. And then you can also do what's called an around the world. If you find this is a little loose right here, you can do if you're twisting it clockwise, you also want to do it clockwise. You want to do a little twist like that, like a little lasso action will actually tighten that up even more. Now I need to go over here and start the second part of the bolt. So you're going to have 2 strands here. What you're going to do with each strand, it depends on where these strands lie, right? So if I were to choose to put this one in, it's going to make this other strand be underneath of this one, if that makes sense. So you want this one, the one up top, to go through the actual bolt. The one on the bottom, you kind of want to go around the outside. If you find that's not going to work, you can grab the wire and give it a little more of a twist, but you really want to have the one that's on top of this one going in there, because if not, and you put this one in here instead, when you go to do your twist, this upper one, if you leave that on the outside, it's going to want to twist over top of this bolt head. So I'm going to want to put that upper one in, like I said, feed it all the way through, grab your pliers, and just pull that through, just like that. Now this outside piece, I want to bring it around, and why you want to have it the one that's on the underside there is because then you can feed it under here. And I want to pull that kind of tight right there, and it's starting to cinch everything, okay? Once I have that there, line this up, clip your pliers in place again, and you want to kind of go at a 45-ish degree angle from your original line there. And instead of twisting it this direction, you want to twist it the other direction. So counterclockwise, the opposite way that you did. You don't have a knob for that. Some actually do reverse direction, some pliers. So you just want to have the pliers locked and just turn them to the left, counterclockwise. So once you see the hole get tightened up there, you can do your around the world. You can do a couple of those if you want, but you want to do it counterclockwise. Now I can release the pliers, and I'm left with this excess. Now I have a tight safety wire. It's pulling right this way. It's pulling right this way. So this is very secure. Now I want to cut the excess off. You just want to snip a little bit off. I usually leave a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch on the end of this. And then for my final part of this, I want to take, you can use safety wire pliers or a pair of needle nose, and I want to grab half of that or a little under half of that, and I want to just turn it just like this and make what's called a pigtail. So that pigtail, the purpose is, one, it's not going to sit there and cut you, but also it's going to double itself over, and it's going to prevent the chance of this unraveling since it has a bend in it. Okay, now I've moved the camera over to our beautiful Stewart Racing engine. Highly recommend him. They are awesome. And I have a strand of safety wire and my pliers. Before I start, I always verify that these nuts or the 5mm bolts are tight. So just a quick check. You don't need any crazy torque. Just make sure it's a little snug. And deciding on where you start is kind of preference. For me, with these nuts, I like to start on this bolt or that nut and end on this nut. So over here, I start feeding my wire through. You have to decide where is going to make the most sense. For me, since you can choose any side, I like to go right around here, because then if I feed this across, now I have my main wire that goes through, and then this other one I want to feed under, just like I did on the board. That way it creates a loop on the far side here, and I can pull this down and snug it, and then I have this one, and I'll do the same. So when I do my twists and I go around the pipe this direction, it's taking this nut and it's making sure it's pulling it to the right and keeping that tension on it. So now that I have both these lined up, always make sure this doesn't flap over top of it. So I can hold that down, feed it around, and I want to go for this hole right here. So I want to make sure I have a little extra slack, just like that. Mark it with my finger. Take my pliers right there, cinch them down, and then just start twisting away. A couple times with the pliers till we have about that 8 to 10 twists an inch. If you have room with the seat and everything in the way, you can do your around the world, help cinch it down a little more, and then we can unlatch the pliers. When I go around to this side, I can take what I've just made, and now you see right there, I tried to measure the best I could, reaching across, but I don't have enough room. If you don't have enough slack or you have too much slack, that's okay. You can unravel it some, or in my case, I need to add a couple extra twists, so I can grab, kind of eyeball it, give me a couple extra twists there, reassess, and then that's looking pretty good because I have each of my strands. If I pull these apart a little bit, remember, best way to do it is take that uppermost strand and feed it through. The lower strand can go around. So I would take that upper strand right here. It's being a little wonky. There we go. Feed that through. Grab it with my pliers. Pull it down tight, and you see how it kind of cinched itself. That's what we want. Another thing is the contour of the pipe here. You can kind of move the wire around, make sure it's sitting to where it's going to be the tightest. Pull some tension onto this. Feed your extra wire around. You can grab it with the pliers as well. Kind of pull it tight, try to get any slack out of it. And then remember how I said, when it goes through here, you want about a 45-degree angle off of it. So right here, I'm gonna go on the other side of the throttle. All right, so I grabbed that right here, and now I want to twist counterclockwise. So I can't do that with my pliers unless you have a multi-directional one. Turn it left until I'm out of that slack, and then I could do a couple of those around the worlds to cinch that down really tight. And there you go. The last thing to do would be to trim off this excess wire and do my pigtail. So for that, I will just clip off that excess. And then if you want, check your tension. See, that's very tight. If I wanted to tighten it up a little bit more, you can always grab this, kind of pull on it, give it a tiny quarter twist or so. That's super snug. And then you can either use the pliers, or for me, I like to just grab a pair of needle noses, grab the end of this, and then just do my 180-degree twist on it, and that's perfect.